It has a 2-hour tape on it. So here's the old guys from the road resting up.
Traveling long distance.
Hi, hon.
Tired.
Linda.
Oh, I said no.
We get a lot of tapes of Linda saying, don't take pictures of
Man,
I seen one here a while back. I was wondering where that no was coming from.
just don't know how aggravating he is.
No,
And the girl at the party picture was
That's okay though. Our grandchildren.
Can you see it good?
Oh, I made that stuff. I made this.
And Dr. Tom Curran, who is Cary practitioner and is also serving as the current president of the North Carolina Veterinary Medical Association. The last person I'll introduce is our new dean, Dr. Oscar Fletcher. And because he is new, I'll give you a very quick background of his experiences. He's a University of Georgia graduate in 1964, founding member of the American College of Poultry Veterinarians, and diplomate in the American College of Veterinary Pathologists. Most recently has been the dean at Iowa State University. He's been on board since March 1st. I'd like you all to please be seated. This time, I'd like to ask Dr. Malcolm Roberts to come forward to visit with you about
the class of 1992 and the very many special invited friends, family and guests gathered here this evening to recognize our graduating class. At this important ceremony, I have the distinct privilege to comment upon the symbolism and tradition of the academic regalia and its relation to our profession. The origin of the cap, gown and hood worn in formal academic processions and ceremonies is traced back to the formation of centers of learning in medieval Europe that were closely associated with the church. In the 12th and 13th centuries, studies expanded beyond those of theology and philosophy, and other disciplines were added, such as medicine. Groups of scholars grew larger, structured curricula evolved, and faculty developed. These eventually collected into colleges and universities. As other universities formed, the need arose for clothing to identify a person's level of training and the major field of study. The clothing was needed both for peers and for certain formal occasions. Thus, the hood and gown were developed to be informative as to the wearer's scholastic status and discipline. Gowns and hoods also served a functional purpose, since they could be arranged to provide warmth and a windbreak. And for the first time ever since we've had the May hooding and oathing ceremonies, those of us who were fortunate enough to walk in the wind felt the value of the gowns. Modern academic dress consists of a gown, a hood, and a cap or a hat. The style of the gown has changed over the centuries, and the custom of wearing brilliant colors by recipients of higher degrees dates from the 16th century. Students were permitted only modest tunics, but for a graduate and the faculty, 3 styles of gowns were cut to denote bachelor's, master's, and doctoral levels of education. They continue to be worn for formal occasions and are an important part of the traditions or heritage of higher learning. Your doctoral gown this evening is more fully cut than any other academic robe. It closes completely in the front and has full-length sleeves. It is black, in accord with the custom of NC State. Other universities may have different colors. You can see several on the podium here with me. And mine should be crimson, representing the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Bristol. But it's black. The front and both sleeves are trimmed in a colored velvet to indicate the academic discipline of your highest degree. And grey symbolizes veterinary science. There can be a variety of other embellishments on the collars and sleeves depending upon the institution. The 3 chevrons of velvet on the sleeves of your gown indicate doctoral rank. The cap, which I've taken off as it may have fallen off, is an essential part of the academic costume and is to be worn at all times when the robe and hood are worn except in prayer. Its symbolism dates back to Roman law and signifies your independence and your role as a teacher from this time forward. The Oxford University mortarboard, worn by the class of 1992, is the usual cap of an American university. However, other styles besides the mortarboard will be seen in an academic procession. The gold tassel is reserved for doctoral degrees and can be worn on either side of the mortarboard. The academic hood, another vestige of everyday attire in the Middle Ages, has an unusually long shape, allowing the end to be pulled around the neck and secured. The hood you will receive this evening is the largest available, with a length of 4 feet and panels 5 inches wide. The university granting the degrees identified by the colours and their arrangement on the hood's inner lining. The chevron-shaped combination of woolpack red over white identifies a graduate of NC State University. The academic discipline of the graduate is indicated by the colour of the hood's margins. All veterinarians' hoods are trimmed in grey, the internationally recognised colour of veterinary science. Tomorrow, graduates and their families and friends will notice an array of other colours and patterns in the academic procession at commencement. What of the symbolism of this ceremony? Your receiving an academic hood this evening marks a major point of passage and represents the faculty's way of formally accepting you into the profession of veterinary medicine. Let's just take a moment to consider what is a profession and a professional. The root of the word is derived from professus in the Latin to declare, affirm, or vow. Thus, profession is the act of public declaration, more than that of a calling or the body of persons engaged in a calling. In a short time, each of you will make a public declaration when taking the veterinarian's oath. Compare for a moment the implications of this to taking the vows of a religious community in the Middle Ages. You are turning your life to service for the community, the clients, the producers, and their animals. And your actions will strengthen this calling. Characteristics that can be applied to a profession and to a professional include: a profession provides a unique, socially useful and needed service. A profession is associated with the acquisition of a high degree of specialized knowledge. The professional has the ability to apply that knowledge. A profession is autonomous in that it is largely self-regulatory through peer review. A profession is associated with a code of ethics. A professional accepts a personal responsibility for his or her performance and behavior, and this responsibility accompanies the privilege. A profession and the professional will express community interest. there will be concern for the common good of the local citizens or community. There is more concern for the services rendered than for financial reward. Classically, the professional did not work for pay, but was paid so they could work. The traditions symbolized by your academic hood accompany you into your professional career. You will continue to learn and will share your experience by teaching others. As a professional, your actions exhibited in the care of your patients and clients will gain the respect and confidence of the constituency and of your colleagues, and will embolden your profession. The faculty encourage you to accept the opportunities and the personal rewards that come with being a member of a profession. Practice the traditions of professionalism. Perform quality work without apology. Do not compromise, and earn a reasonable profit without guilt. Through the acceptance of the hood, followed by recitation of the veterinarian's oath, you will declare and accept before this audience the standards of responsibility and conscience for your professional future. Tomorrow morning is the commencement. Traditionally the ceremony when the degrees are conferred. Commencement means beginning. One of the great statesmen of this century, Winston Churchill, spoke of the end of the beginning. Today and tomorrow will be for each of you the end of the beginning of your commitment to become a veterinarian as you enter into this profession. The faculty welcome you into this ancient and caring profession. Congratulations and best wishes to you all. Thank you.
This time, assisting Dr. Stopskoff, who will present to you the class of '92, will be Dr. Coggins and Dr. Aronson, who will help with the hooding. Graduates would stand, please. Front row, please.
Ammerman. Sylvia Lane Anderson. Brian Alexander Arneson. Christine Skews Barber. Jill Ackerman Barnes. Joan Fiorello Barrett. Louise Stewart Barrett. Steve Alex Bauer. Audrey Eleanor Bastian. Steve Weldon Reading. Stephen Henry Brand. Fred Green Brown II. Cynthia Denise Burnett. William Henry Carr. Kalen Charles Cookson. Lisa L. Corcoran. Catherine Victoria Crumley. Johnny Dale Dellinger. Agnes Ann Fratcher. Mark William Harris. Michael Wayne Harrison. Lori Johnson Heitzelman. James Kelly Hudson. Daniel Henry Johnson. Tammy Lynn Johnson. Wendy Koppel Kahn. Christopher Ross Konvalinka. Barbara K. Lawrence. Judith Lee Magarelli. Mary Ann Tillett McBride. Megan E. T. McDonald. Kevin Neil McKisson. William Andrew McCree. Marcel Justine Mikhail. Charles William Miller Jr. is in the hospital, will not be with us tonight. He is recovering well. James Michael Miller. Paige Elizabeth Mitchell. Christopher Joel Neville. Daniel Elliott Nordland. Tanya Melissa Nowell. Christopher Carl Reeves. Shell D. Robertson. Allison Rocket. Brian Eric Rogers. Michael John Rousseau. Christine Ann Sands. Dennis Michael Sharon. Linda Eileen Silvers. Melanie Ash Smith. Vicki Lynn Strickland. Abby Lynn Sutton. Susan Rose Tilley. Philip Allen Topham. Robert Edwin Treat, Jr. Paul DeRommel Tuck. Deborah Ann Vanderford. Patricia Elizabeth Votto. Diane Lynn Weddle. Sherry Lynn Wilson. Neil Lucine Womack. Wendy Howard Womack. I present to you the class of 1992.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me the veterinarian's oath. Being admitted to the profession of veterinary medicine, I solemnly swear to use my scientific knowledge and skills for the benefit of society through the protection of animal health, the relief of animal suffering, the conservation of livestock resources, the promotion of public health, and the advancement of medical knowledge. I will practice my profession conscientiously and with dignity. And in keeping with the principles of veterinary medical ethics. I accept as a lifelong obligation the continual improvement of my professional knowledge and competence. Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you, Dr. Curran. This time, we would like very soon to be, Dr. Wendy Kahn to come forward to deliver the student message. Wendy serves as this year's class president. Got to know Wendy over the years, and she's been a very big help to us in the Dean's office.
Thank you, Dr. Howard. I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak to you today on behalf of the class of 1992. This is a special opportunity for our class to look back over the past 4 years, to thank the many people who have made it possible to reach this moment, and to look ahead into the future. When we started off, there were 72 of us, a diverse group of people from all over the country who had come together with a common goal. At orientation, one of our first lessons was that veterinarian has 6 syllables and ought to be pronounced that way. Afterward, things got even tougher. Remember the first anatomy practical. After it was over, most of us stood in the hall considering what other career opportunities were available to us. Remember the fun of TAU and our amazement in physiology lab when we palpated the rumen of the fistulated cow. Remember the first time we took blood from a horse and felt through the tube that the blood was warm. By second year, we were all a little more sophisticated. We didn't check our mailboxes quite as often. We evolved some good rituals with lunchtime volleyball and hacky sack, and we spent a lot of time developing our computer and library skills as we worked on our pharmacology papers. And who can forget the time spent in the lab peering at parasites and time spent outdoors collecting toxic plants? It was during third year that our medicine courses exposed us to actual clinical cases, and we began to understand the interaction between the art and the science of veterinary medicine. And it was third year that we had to depend on our imagination to get us through each radiology quiz. And in surgery, many of us will never forget our first clinical responsibility in caring for a living animal. When the year was over, we celebrated with a champagne party in the toxic plant garden. Fourth year found us in the clinics, where we all worked closely together and forged some new and lasting friendships. Each block had its own special challenges. Who can forget the long hours in small animal medicine? There was so much to learn and so many demands. Working in life and death situations, educating and consoling owners, and promising your family that you would be home by 10, but having to call at midnight to explain that you just got started riding your soaks. There were also challenges in the large animal clinic. Remember weekend split shifts and 2 a.m. colic surgeries. Remember being on herd and flock in the winter and looking forward to palpating so that you could at least warm up one arm at a time. And remember working in the large animal clinic in the summer and wondering what your classmates were wearing under their coveralls. And vacation block, the wonderful 4 weeks when we finally had time to get our hair cut, fix the car, clean the house, pay the bills, and still didn't. We've had 4 incredible years together, years filled with endless tests, exhilaration, excitement, anxiety, and stress, and now finally we can celebrate and congratulate each other as we reach the culmination of our efforts. All of us in the class of 1992 realize that our becoming veterinarians is a result of a large team effort, and we want to thank a lot of people. We have to begin with our families and friends. You provided us with the love and emotional support that helped us to remain focused on our goals. You listened to our endless stories, mopped up our tears, helped us cope with our frustrations. We couldn't have done it without you. We also want to thank the faculty, the residents and interns, who shared their skills with us both in the classroom and in the clinics. You were more than just instructors. Many of you became our role models, our advisors, and our